Good morning, everyone. I am coming to you live this way. Unfortunately, there won't be captions on today's live because I'm on my phone. And the reason why I'm doing this is because Kourtney is our candidate for coaching today, but she unfortunately has to do it from her phone, and Be Live only works from computers, I believe. So, yeah. So we'll wait a few minutes for her to pop on. But before that happens, I actually wanted to talk to you about this thought that I had because the new year's coming up, or maybe I should save this for tomorrow because I said I was going to do a live tomorrow. But it's I wrote a whole thing in my journal. Okay, you know what? I'm going to save it for tomorrow. I wrote it down so I shouldn't forget about it, but it's really good. It's a really good question. So I will save it for tomorrow. So come back here tomorrow around 10. Let me check my calendar. Around 10 a.m. Yes, around 10 a.m. tomorrow. And I will be doing a kind of like head into the new year kind of post live. There will be captions on that one because it will be just me and all that good stuff. So yeah. So I'm super excited about that. I've been doing a lot of writing lately, a lot of painting. If you don't know, like I do art journaling, which is like one of my favorite things. So it's just like it's a mess. Like I love it. I love making a mess. This is my jam. And yeah, so that's what I've been doing. Yeah, and it's fun. And then I just write a bunch of stuff. So yeah. Anywho, I'm going to wait a few seconds for Kourtney to show up. While we're waiting for that, how's everyone doing? What's going on? Can you hear me? That, again, is always a good thing. I feel like that's all I have to... I just need a recording that plays like, can you hear me? Can you hear me? This is like the soundtrack for 2020 with people on Zoom. Can you see me? Are you there? And all that good stuff. We'll wait a few minutes. Hopefully she will be on. And we're going to talk about... So what we're going to talk about with Kourtney, as long as it hasn't changed from when she filled out her form, is we are going to be talking about finding your ideal client. So we're going to help her get down into what that looks like for her. And we are going to also talk about how to handle different body image issues that arise in the studio and things like that. And that's a common one that a lot of people experience. So I think that would be good information for everyone. If you need to check out of this live at any time, or you do want to watch it with captions, it will be on my YouTube later today. And so because of that, with YouTube, they have auto captions. The quality is not super great, but at least there's something, which is really good. Hey, what is this? Oh, that's just, I thought my book was featured in Dooley Watson. I do want to say, before Kourtney gets on here, I want to say thank you to everyone that has signed up for the Boudoir University so far. I'm really excited. Sorry, I gotta get my sitting. Yeah. I'm just really excited to see how far you get and how it goes and all that good stuff. And if you have any questions, of course, feel free to reach out in the group. All the educators are in the group, so if there's one person in particular you want to reach out to, we also have the Boudoir University Facebook group as well. You can ask your questions in there if you've joined. So, yes. All right, Kourtney, where are you at? Hello, Kourtney. Say hello. Where are you? Hey. So that's exciting. What else is exciting? Oh, do you want to hear a funny kind of gross story that happened today? Okay. So I get woken out of my sleep by my husband, who's like, what the fuck? Our cat had sidled up next to him to snuggle in this morning. He always does that. But he got poop everywhere. And my poor husband woke up and that was right by his head. And I was like, oh no, that's what he gets for having the cat love him more than me. Just saying. Anyway, so that was a fun little scavenger hunt we had to go on this morning. It's collecting cat turds around the house. So that's great. Good morning. Oh, perfect. Thank you, everyone. So that was a funny story. That is like, I don't have kids, but I imagine this is a common occurrence. Just when you think like everything's going great, everything's fine, somebody shits on you. It's just what happens. It's what happens. So that was his morning, and mine was a little better than that, which is good. Yeah. Kourtney, where you at? I'll go message her. Hello? Are you here? Dee dee. So, for those of you that don't know, because we did add a bunch of people online into the group within the last few days. So the live coaching that I'm doing today is something that I do every Tuesday around this time. Is you can go to my website. I think I put it up there still. You can go to my website and it is started. Yeah, so you can go to my website under one-on-one coaching. If you click that and then scroll down on the one-on-one coaching. So terihofer.com/services. That'll take you to the page of all the things that I do. Click one-on-one coaching. If you want to hire me for coaching, you can. But if you keep scrolling down, there will be a segment that you can fill out to book yourself in for live coaching, which means that you do have to, of course, come live with me here, ideally from a computer, but we can make a phone work as well. And then ask your question, whatever it might be. And so the reason why it's free is because chances are that you're not the only person with that question. I sent a request, but I'm not. Oh, I think I see it. Hold up. Yep. Add. We'll see. Kourtney's coming on here. So if you are like, I have this burning question and I want Teri to help me with my business, or the image or my mindset or whatever it is, you can go and check it out on my website. Hello, Kourtney. There you are.
Hi.
Perfect. How are you?
There we go.
Uh-oh.
I paused it.
There we go.
Alive.
Oh, I didn't know that either. Good to know. All right. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks. Are you excited for today?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So fill everyone in kind of on the context, like what you're hoping to get out of today's little chat with me, like what you're looking for or what you need help with. And then we'll just chat about it and see what we can come up with for you.
Okay, I was a little confused about what exactly, I hate to say that because I know what I need help with, but I don't know what I need help with. So I think the biggest issue I'm having is connecting with clients to get even referrals, or I don't know. I don't feel like I connect enough to clients.
Okay. So what are you doing right now, I guess would be like, or like what kind of connection are you looking for? Yeah, let's start there.
Well, I know it's going to be bad, but I guess I compare a lot to other photographers and how their clients relate to them. And I don't feel like I'm getting that like with the VIP group or just one-on-one sessions or anything.
Would it be fair to say that if you do compare yourself to other people, that you might be trying to do things like they are doing things?
Yeah, but I don't know, I guess, what to do for me specifically either.
Right, which is fair. And I see this happen quite a lot with people that, like, when they first start their business, they're in a lot of Facebook groups. So they are like, oh, this is what I should do. This is what I should do. And there's no point where you just are like, do I want to do that? Like, does this resonate with who I am or like how I communicate best? So, and I was privileged, like when I first started Boudoir, Facebook groups weren't a thing. I've talked about that before. So I had like 2 years essentially to just like figure my shit out and like be
Yeah.
like, I don't like that. Like, let me try this thing, and be like, I try it, and then I'm like, I don't like it. So I don't want to do that. Whereas now I think if people are growing up with other photographers to compare to, it's a lot of noise to drown out what you actually want. So I want to ask you a question for communication purposes. What is your preferred method of communication?
Email or Facebook or Instagram. I don't know.
But
I
like that's
have tried. Yeah.
oh, I was just gonna say, like, it's important for you. Like, is it doing lives? Is it writing? Are you really good at writing? Are you really good at audio? Are you like talking? Are you really good at being on camera? Like, what's kind of your, where do you feel comfortable?
Lives I struggle with a lot. Writing, I am if I can get myself motivated to do it, but that kind of comes and goes.
Okay. So I think that's really important to figure out, like, what are your strengths and where is that? Because that's what happens is we see the problem is we see one person that's really good at audio and like they have a podcast or whatever. And we're like, okay, I need to do a podcast because that's what they're doing. And then we look over here and that person's like doing all the Facebook lives. And then you're like, oh, everyone's also doing Facebook Lives. So now I have to do Facebook Lives. And then you see somebody over here that's really good at blogging and telling stories and writing. And you're like, oh my God, everybody's writing. When in fact, the reality is one person is writing, one person is living, and one person is doing audio.
Yeah.
But our brain makes us think that, well, everybody's doing everything. Why can't I do that? You can't. So it's important, and you don't have to answer that right now, but I want you to ask yourself that question. Like, if I only had one way to communicate with people for the rest of my life, what method would I prefer?
I guess writing, because one-on-one, it goes back to it's awkward for me one-on-one with people.
Okay, so what is it about doing things one-on-one that is awkward for you?
I don't really know, just social interaction, period. I second guess what I'm saying a lot.
Mm. So here's a good question to ask as well. When you do photo shoots, right, because that's one-on-one for the most part, so is that easier to do like during the shoot because there's a purpose to that task? Like you're like, I'm focused on a strategy, so like, so it makes sense that I would have to communicate with this person, right?
Feels more like a job, I guess, than trying to relate to a total stranger.
Gotcha. And then the relationship makes sense because like in your head, you're like, well, this is why I say I'm a strategic hugger. It's like, I don't just go around randomly hugging people. That's weird to me. But I understand that, like, oh, I think this, like, social obligation dictates that in this moment I should hug. So I will do it, but it's not my first nature to do it just all the time. And so you probably are similar to me in that you have more of a strategic brain, which means if there is no purpose tied to anything, you just won't fucking do it.
Yes.
Because it's like, well, I could do anything, and there's like 1,000 different strategies we could implement, so I don't know what the point is. So I'm just gonna do nothing. And so it's really hard to do that. So one thing that I found really helpful is to figure out, number one, the method by which I want to communicate. And I do it in a few different ways just because I like to. I like doing lives. I like writing, and I'm good at it. Like, I am confident in my abilities there. Similar to you, though, one-on-one small talk, fuck that shit. Don't like that. No. I would rather speak to a group of people.
Yeah, than just one.
Than one thing, right? So I knew that early on, in that when I was building my business, that I had to create that bond with people before they came in for the photo shoot, because I knew once they were in for a photo shoot I could do the work, but I knew that I would hate that initial like small talk bullshit first grossness. Like I hate small talk. So all of my marketing literally revolved around this. like revolves around me saying like, I hate small talk. Like, I want to get to the meat and potatoes. Like, I want to, if you meet me for the first time, my questions are like, so are you like, what kind of feminist are you? You know, like, what's your political stance? Like, I need to know where we're standing here. Otherwise, there's no point in me having this conversation. So that's where, if you like writing, then that can be your communication tool. So blog posts, talk about all the things you would say one-on-one that makes you uncomfortable to say. Okay. Right? So when you're like, oh, I just want people to feel better about their body image, so you learn something, let's say either from the group or like just from reading something, you're like, oh, I had a thought about that. I'm going to write a blog post and share that with my group. This is your way of communicating differently than the people that are good at one-on-one, but it still gets the message across. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's important for us to figure out what is my preferred method of communication. Because if you keep trying to do these things that you don't like, also make you uncomfortable, that's going to come across. And the problem with that is then it's not genuine.
Yeah.
Right? So you could even literally write a whole blog post and be like, the reason why I'm writing this in a blog post is because I fucking hate doing lives. I am incredibly nervous about being on camera. I'm sure some of you can relate to that. Do you know how many clients you're going to be like, oh my God, me too. This Zoom life has been killing me.
Yeah.
Right? The more we can own those things that just aren't us, I think is really important, and own up to it for our clients and set the expectation. Because this is my preferred method of communication, this is how you're going to learn from me. This is how, like, we teach them how to learn from us. Yeah. So it may be slower going, possibly, or it may be faster, because then you can reach more people, to be honest. If you're delivering a message that you want to and care about, right? The other reason why I think I would assume you like writing more than just talking as well is because you can write it, and then you can go back and like fix it up so it's perfect, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not having to guess about what I'm saying.
Yeah. There's a lot of anxiety for people around that, including myself. I like when I do lives, I'm like, what did I just say? But it's also important to note that like sometimes you do have to do the shit that you don't want to do. Like sometimes you will have to do a live to address something in your group or whatever. Yeah. But I think if you can always keep focused on the purpose of why it has to be delivered in this way, then it's easier to do the task. Does that make sense? Like, for example, when shit goes sideways in my group, it's easier for me to jump on a live, and because I'm like, this will take care of this faster than if I take my time writing out a response that not everyone will see. This way I could just say exactly what I mean. There's going to be no confusion about how I'm saying it, or less confusion anyways about how I'm delivering it, you know. So the intent is important more so than the method. Does that make sense? Like if I'm intentional about how or what I'm delivering, then the delivery method can change, but I need to be aware of what is the purpose. Yeah. Otherwise it's like, I don't know, I'm just gonna do nothing because there's so many things I could do.
Yeah, I get overwhelmed and then I just shut down.
Yeah, so I would just like take a look into that for yourself, what that looks like. So going through every aspect that you've been trying to communicate through and decide like, fuck, no, don't like that, get rid of it. It's like when I shot newborns, I was like, no, don't like this, even a little bit, like, no. And understand that you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do it. It just means the results might be different than what your friends are getting or whatever. You may not get you may not get TikTok famous if you're not, you can't get TikTok famous if you're not on TikTok. Like, so stop. It's not the thing. But that's why it's important to stay focused on why am I doing what I am doing? What is my message? And what is my preferred method to communicate that message to the people? And then the more you can lean into your authentic self. Oh, where did she go? No, Kourtney, come back. Oh, she left. Hold on. Juju. We'll wait. Anybody have questions about what we're talking about? while we wait. I don't know what happened there. I did a webcam session with Kourtney. I know her internet's kind of shit, so that might be it. Kourtney, come back. Is that you? Come here. Where are you? Yes, add. Kourtney, I'm trying to add you back.
I don't know what happened.
There we go. That's okay. It's technology. Sometimes it doesn't work. But yeah, so that's where I would start. Does that make sense?
Yeah, just pick something and stick to it and just try to work out the kinks instead of trying to do 8 different things.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Here's the thing. And Christy, I'll answer your question. Christy just asked a question here. I'll answer in a second. But and this is a good point. No, so many photographers don't blog. Like, this is your opportunity to blog. If you like writing, use that superpower to get yourself #1 on Google. Like, blogging and keywords and all that shit is your best method, for sure, to move yourself up, because it's consistency. Yes. So if you can do that, that will have a huge impact on that. Chrissy asked, any tips on blogging? Should they be a certain length? No, I don't think there is a necessary one way to do a blog. I think some people do slideshows, some people do videos, GIFs, photos, sound. As long as you, like my friend Kevin had like kind of a blurb to put at the top of a thing, at the blog post, which is like location. So like, oh, I just did a Winnipeg boudoir session, or I did a session in our downtown Winnipeg studio with so-and-so, and this was the elements of the shoot, things that they would search. Like, this was the lingerie we got from this beautiful plus-size boutique, whatever. And then those keywords are what people search, so that would bring up your blog post. So it's not so much about the length of a post, but rather the meat of the post, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's where I got stuck sometimes, because I felt like it wasn't enough in a blog to.
It literally can be one photo. For people that are asking questions about blogs, literally, if you go to the files section of our group here, I made a whole list of things to get you started on blogging. Yeah, so there's like literally listicles, like 5, what is your empowerment playlist, share different YouTube videos. Like, there's so many different things. Also, in the new year, I am going to be running a writer's workshop to help people kind of craft their message a bit more, and just start creating bad work so you can create the good work. Because the problem is that we're afraid to put our bad stuff out there, but you can't get to the good unless you get through the bad. So, so that's kind of the idea behind that. But the whole point of this is really, there's no one way to blog. There is no one way to do anything. And you need to figure out what is best for you. So if it's easy, if the consistency is easier by you just posting one photo from a session, a little blurb about the session, and that means that you can do that once or twice a week because that's all it is, do that thing. You don't have to write elaborately long prose or poetry or like flowery shit, because chances are if you do that, you'll only blog once every 3 months. Yeah. Because you're waiting for inspiration, right? Yeah. And so it's like, stop it. Just like what consistency, in terms of blogs, SEO, and all that bullshit, consistency is more important than anything else, to be honest. Yes. And again, though, I think for you, Kourtney, I think really focusing on what is the intent, what is the purpose. So when you're posting, let's say you do a session with a client that you're, let's say you want to, what do you want more of in your business? I guess clients. Okay, but like what kind of clients? I guess I've been struggling with that too, is finding the right ideal client, because I've been kind of all over the place with different types of people. So, like, why did you get into boudoir? I guess for people like myself, because I would have never, body image has just totally changed since doing it. And then, you know, close friends that have seen the difference and reacted differently and started changing their whole lifestyle because of it. So what was the specific scenario that made you say, shit, people need this? Like, what in your life made you say, fuck, this is necessary?
I guess it didn't really start that way with me. It was just, I had, started off shooting families and such, and then I always wanted to do more fashion like photography. And so it kind of started with boudoir. And I guess I need to really nail down when I decided that it was the most important thing.
Well, and we can do that on this call, but you're going to get really uncomfortable.
Yep.
So you gotta be ready
for it.
You gotta be ready for that. So yeah, so I want you to think about like what you could have done. You could do commercial fashion photography, but you didn't. You chose boudoir specifically. Why?
I guess you kind of peel away people's personalities because I've shot so many people who are super confident in real life, but then whenever they get in camera, it just totally changes. And I guess I feel like I get to know people better when they're in lingerie and we're shooting, and I can relate more to them, if that makes any sense.
Okay, so so what was your first shoot that you did that was boudoir that made you be like,
I shot 2 girls. Oh, that made me go like that, or just my first shoot altogether?
well, just the one that made you be like, this is what I want to do.
Probably one of my first ones, which was horrible, but it was just 2 girls and we shot outside in the stream and it felt magical and it was really fun.
But why was it fun?
Yeah. I guess because I'm not used to being around people, especially other women. So being around other women and not feeling uncomfortable.
So for you, would you say that it was to like that's how you benefited, right? That you're like, oh, so now that you have that experience, and is that something you wanted to offer your clients going forward? Like, oh, well, if I feel this way, like being nervous, like hanging out.
Think about it that way.
So, and I think that's something to consider is that a lot of times we get into whatever the first shoot is, usually it is because we're like, somebody asked us and we're like, okay, like, I don't know what I'm doing. But then there's a spark that happens. And for you, it may be that you were like, wow, like I can have female friendships.
Right.
And is that something you wanted to offer them now?
I mean, that really makes sense, honestly, because I've never thought about it that way, because I guess I've always thought that I was weird for not being able to make female friends. But
I think that's important to note, is that you want people, like, that's a really good story to tell, is that I didn't think this was possible, which is why I will say, like, because you had mentioned, like, when they're like being vulnerable with you, it's easier for you to see past that. Now I'm going to ask you a really tough question. When you were younger or in school, were you bullied by girls for who you were?
We moved around a lot, so no, not really.
Oh, so you did.
Yeah.
But so you didn't have friendships at all.
Don't panic.
No, this is what I expect, so it's fine.
Okay, good, because I just cry naturally.
Good.
Yeah, I just never really connected with anybody.
So you could say then what you're looking to offer your clients is a space for connection, yes?
Yeah.
And friendship.
Yeah.
And acceptance.
Yeah, which I guess is kind of what I've been wanting, but I guess I never really nailed it down like that, because I see other people with close-knit communities who people seem to relate to them, and I don't feel like I'm getting that across, especially, I don't know, just before, like, once I get them in the studio, I'm okay, but trying to relate to them to get them to actually book, there's a huge barrier there.
And I think that barrier is a story that you've probably just always told yourself, based on what this little bit that I know of what you've just told me, is that I don't belong. Nobody understands me. Nobody accepts me for who I am until they're sharing their vulnerable bits with me, right?
Yeah.
Now, which is why it's hard to risk that rejection of like putting yourself out there and telling these things to people, for sure. but it's relationships are a two-way street. It can't be just one way, right? Which is what you're seeing happening with other people. But what this is where watching what other people are doing is getting you in trouble, though, is because that is confirming this belief that you are not worthy of being accepted.
Yes.
Because you feel alone, right? Is that correct? And lonely.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard.
I'm crying.
No, this is the point. This is the point that we need to get you to, because I need you to understand why the work that you do is so important to you. Because once you're aware that, holy shit, I do this because I don't want anybody to feel like I have felt for the last however many years you've been alive.
Yeah.
Even to this point, you feel like this. Like even today, maybe not now that we're having this conversation, but prior to this conversation, you felt alone and like nobody understood and you weren't worthy of friendship or acceptance. At least that's what it sounds like to me. Because that's a story you've told yourself. But I can promise you that that's not the case. So it's important for you now to say, holy shit, yeah, this is a story I've been telling myself. And it's not going to be undone just in this call.
Oh, yeah.
But it does give you a starting place to now say, holy fuck. There's some shit I need to work through. And now you have a purpose for the work that you do. Your mission becomes much more glaringly clear.
Yeah.
For you to stand up in your group and say or write, the reason why I do this is because I felt alone.
I don't know if y'all can.
Oh, you still there? Ah, no, come back. Are you there? There we go.
I'm here now.
Yeah, we're good. But yeah, does that make sense? So it's like it gives you something to like really hone in on that you can now say, all right, I never want any of my clients to feel alone, like they don't belong and whatever. So that now means that you can create an experience and you can create a business that revolves around whatever these actions look like. Like what would make you feel more like you belonged? What did you want? What do you want? What would tell you that you do belong?
I guess connections with more people.
So maybe one of the things that you start to do once COVID isn't such a twat is you start doing quarterly group photo shoots. This was something that came up like in my head when you first started talking. I was like, why do individual? Why don't just do group things?
I had wanted to, and then this year was kind of my big year, and everything kind of went.
But what if? But you could, like, are you still able to shoot at all?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so instead of doing a full group thing, a lot of my projects, actually, I just put a thing in Teachable. I don't know if you're part of that, but like for my empowerment sessions, a lot of the ones I ran still had to be done on a one-on-one basis, but contributing to a larger mission. Does that make sense? So you can still do the one-on-one. That way, just knowing that it's going to contribute to a larger purpose. And why I would suggest you do that, if you can do that in the next month or two, use that project, whatever you want to focus on, use that project to collect data. So you will have a questionnaire that says, what makes you feel alone? And what would make you feel less alone? And other questions around that. Yeah. But this is how you can collect the information you need to understand where are their mindsets as well. COVID has been a perfect thing for people to realize how fucking lonely they actually are and how much we desire connection. And to be honest, you probably are more resilient than most people because you have felt this way your whole life. So you're like, what? This is another day for me. Like where everyone's like, oh, I need my people, right? But now you have this inner knowledge of how to continue to thrive and exist in a world should you not have connection, but also remind people how important connection is, and here's why, and then tell your story. So what you're looking for, I believe, as far as an ideal client goes, is people, the misfits.
Yep.
The people that don't have a family, the people that don't have friends, the ones that can't relate. Maybe they're slightly neurodivergent. You know, maybe they also are socially awkward as shit.
Yeah.
Right? That's your superpower. Lean into what you are, not who you're trying to be. Like, lean into who you are, and your people will show up and be like, holy shit, me too. Like, Jen Swedeen is a perfect example of somebody that has done this. She says, this is who I am. This is the way my brain works. And this is like, you get what you get and you don't get upset. And like, people are like, oh my God, I need your talent. Like, you are what I need right now. Right? Like, other people that have a hard time connecting, the thing is, if you never have the opportunity as a child to learn how to connect, you will have a hard time as an adult. It's a learned behavior, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think it's important for you to recognize that information for yourself, because it's not saying I need to learn how to be like those other photographers, but say, like, knowing what I know about myself, how can I make other people like me feel safe and supported and not alone? And a lot of the times that is by sharing your stories. Like this last 29 days, I've been sharing nothing but personal stories of my shit on my Instagram. And it's like, all the things that just make me human. Like, I'm like, oh, nobody will understand. No, literally everybody understands, apparently. And so, but I think that's where we can use our purpose and say, I was just listening to a podcast today where they said, it's not what you should do, it's what you must do. So focus on what you must do so that nobody feels like you have felt up until this point.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah.
And what would that look like? And nobody can tell you. I can't tell you what that's going to look like. That's just for you, that if you can go into, like, let's say your value becomes acceptance or belonging, whatever that looks like. Every action you take, everything that you post, everything that you write, every photo you take should be with the intention of belonging, making sure somebody feels like they belong, making sure they feel accepted, and then that is your thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's the other thing too, is like, I know in the other part of your question you have was like body image issues, like not knowing what to say or not knowing what to do. Your thing might not be that. You might not be the person with the answers, but rather you might be the person that sits with them while they talk about it.
I think I can relate easier to that.
And that's okay. And you can literally sit there and be like, you know what, I'm sorry, I don't have answers for you. Here's somebody I can, like, go check out Terry Hofford's account. This is what she talks about all the time, this shit. I don't have the answers, but I totally understand. You are not alone feeling like this about yourself. Like, most people just want that. They don't want people like me that are like, let me tell you how you should feel. Right? There's a place for me, but like, yes. But there's also a place for just the space holders.
Yes.
And that's your thing, is saying, and that I would literally, this was coming in my head right now, I would literally write a blog post that says, I'm not going to heal your body image issues in a day. I'm not going to take this away from you. I am not going to make you do these things. I'm not going to do this. But here's what I am going to do for you. I'm going to sit with you while, if you don't like the way you look at a photograph, I will sit beside you and I will let you feel the way you feel. And that there's nothing wrong with that. This is normal. This is how people experience this. This is life. Right? Everything comes back to belonging. Yeah. So you don't have to, you don't have to be a Terry. You don't have to be whoever else you're looking at. And the best part is, now that you know what your target is, like what you're like, okay, everything I do today, revolves around making sure I belong, or like that I can tell myself that I belong, whatever that looks like. I will start learning about, you can start researching about the science of belonging. There's so many great articles about the importance of loneliness, not the importance of loneliness, how bad loneliness is, and almost become an expert in belonging.
Yes.
Right? Lots of Brene Brown. Read a shit ton of Brene Brown. She talks about that all the time. But like, does that make sense? Like, but that's your thing. That's what, like, that is your motivational mission. Aroha says, hey, Kourtney, you're an awesome human and absolutely worthy. Happy to connect with you anytime. Oh, yeah, Aroha's a good connector. She's good that way. So So I think it's important for you to, so for your own personal work, here's what I would recommend. So I want you to start questioning, how will I know when I do belong? Well, how will, like, is that 5 friends? Like, what does that look like? What does that look like? You know what I mean? Like, how will you know? So it's like, and again, it's not based on what other people do, but it's so you have an inner measuring tool that says, if I reach out to one person a week and they respond in kind, then I will know that I have a support system. If I have one person that I know I can reach out to and ask for guidance and help and all that good stuff, then I know that I'm okay. Like, just that, those are just examples. You have to figure that out. I can't tell you what that looks like for you. But I think that's something that will help you, because once you start saying, okay, I'm going to go figure out how I can belong now. This is exciting, a journey, if you will. Then you can start implementing things and trying things. And now you have tools to share with your clients and say, oh, one of the things that I really struggled with my whole life, I didn't realize it until I had this coaching with this girl named Teri, and she's a little nutty, but it's fine. She wore a shirt that said tits and tacos on it during her coaching. Very professional. But the thing is like, but now you're like, I don't know if this is going to work, but it's worth a shot. Let me see if this works. And then you try it and you're like, holy shit, I just did this thing to help me work through my issues. Now I want to share it with you all. And they'll be like, yes, because more people feel alone than not.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
We are together in our loneliness.
Yeah. I didn't realize that this was even what the issue was.
Well, that's what coaching gets you. That's why I'm like, it's going to hurt. We're going to get there. And it hurts a little. But once you're there, it's almost like crack. And now it's like, oh, thank God. Right? Do you feel like?
Yeah. I feel like I can go into it with a totally different look on all of it.
Good. And that's like all we can ask for is like, now you have, and you know what, it might change now. So for the next 3 years or 2 years, you're going to be like, yes, belonging, but eventually you're going to realize I do belong. And so you can, but then you'll know what it looks like or whatever, and then you can relate it to your clients, but then it might change even further. So let's talk, so then later on you'll be like, okay, now I need to figure out, why was that so important to me to begin with? And why was I looking at it from over here, and sharing those stories and then saying, what did I learn? What strengths did I get from being alone? Right? What did I, like, how did I serve? Because obviously you survived, right? You made it this far.
Yeah.
And like, lonely, honest to God, like, you deserve a goddamn medal if you have felt lonely this whole entire time in your life. Because loneliness is like one of the biggest, like, killers of people, right? It is the fastest way to depression, the fastest way to illness. It is literally all of these things, because we are humans that are animals that require connection. And so if you have felt this way, you must have learned something to keep you going this long. It wasn't just to have this fucking conversation with me. So, but that's not, I don't want you to, like, that, you do start thinking about that, but more importantly, I just want you to start reflecting on, what does that look like? How will I know when I am there? because you need to start arguing back against the belief that you don't belong. That's the first thing, is to just eradicate that belief system that you don't, because I would hope that you know that now, listen to me, it's not true. So you can just play that part over and over again if you need to. It's a lie. Your brain is lying. But our brain does lie to us, right? I mean, it's good because it got you this far. But also when it creeps up, when you look at somebody else that has what you perceive to be a connection, to be a connection with people, it's important that you say, I love that for them. This is how I have learned to connect with people. And actually, if you go back and look, because you have felt this way, you've managed to make it this far in life, which means you've managed to make connections somehow to survive. So I want you to even look into what has that looked like? How, what did it take for you to connect with anybody to get to where you are at this point? Right? And it may not have felt good sometimes. You might have done things that maybe didn't feel good. But knowing that, you can now say, oh, I felt I had to do that. This is like my whole thing for this month. It's like I found out who I was by finding out who I wasn't. I did a bunch of shit that made me feel bad, and then I didn't want to do it anymore. But then you can say, oh, I felt I had to do that because X, Y, and Z. But now, as a grown-ass adult, I can choose not to.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Was that fun?
Yeah. It's refreshing, I guess.
Good. That's the best part. And that's like my biggest thing too for me, is like making sure that people just you're not broken. I think that's like my biggest message all the time. Like my thing is, as much as it's body image, it's not body image. It's just like the whole world's been trying to make y'all think you're fucked up, and you're not.
Yeah.
You are just who you are. I would recommend, if you want to learn more about, I would recommend doing your strengths. I talk about that all the time. Clifton Strengths helps make more sense of why we act the way that we do, or our behaviors are the way that they are. So I would recommend that to give yourself more insight into that. Yeah, just in the future, if you want, I would recommend that to help just give you more guidance into what are the talents that got you this far. That's the thing. Is those were strengths that got you to this point. So, and the problem is, let's say, if you have a strength that is includer, this is a strength that happens. Includer loves to make people feel included. They like to hug and stuff like that. But they also like to be included, which means if you're not being included, then you feel even worse about yourself, right? So, or if you have connectedness and you're like, I can see how everything works together, but yet I feel so disconnected from the world. That doesn't make a person with connectedness feel good, does it? No. So understanding that will make sense why things hurt more than they do for other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else I can help you with? I think that was probably.
I think that's a big thing that was holding everything else back.
Well, it was as soon as this is why I like the why question, because it literally is just like a damn, and then it's like, well, fuck, there it is.
Yep.
Yeah, you just need someone with persistence to chip away. This is my book, chip, chip, chip. Just bringing my hammer around everywhere I go. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. That helps put a lot of things in perspective with all of it.
Good. That's the best part. So what I want you to do, you're going to have homework here. Oh, did you freeze again? God damn. Oh, there we go. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So your homework going forward will be what?
Trying to find better ways to connect people. Try to figure out why I'm having issues connecting people.
No. What? No. Stop it. No, that's all negative shit. You're not having issues. It's just you're trying to do it in ways that aren't right with you. I want you to do is look at the positive things. How do I like to connect to people? Don't worry about the other shit. It doesn't matter because you don't like it.
go where the energy is. How do I like to connect? Is it through writing? Perfect, because that's safer for me right now. Cool, do it. This could change later on, but right now you're gonna write. So you're gonna do maybe one blog post a week.
Okay.
You're gonna talk more and start learning more about belonging and loneliness.
Okay.
Okay. You are going to be honest about your story with your clients in little increments. You don't have to give away the farm all at once. But maybe your first blog post is like, holy shit, I had a revelation. Right? And then talk about your experience with never belonging and why this work is so important to you, because it gives people a space to feel like they belong. Then we're going to maybe arrange to do a project where we can collect information about how other people experience loneliness.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the last thing.
And
See, that's how my brain works, is to just jump into that because it's easier.
negative stuff for the project.
Jump into a project, yeah.
That's fine. That's because there's a purpose there. And it's safe because it's not about you, it's about other people.
Yes, exactly. It's about other people.
So when I used to do my projects, I used to tell myself the same thing, but ultimately me doing the projects was my way of finding out more about myself. That was my strategic way of doing it in a way that allowed me to maintain some distance from the scary shit. So then that way it's like, oh, it's because I want to be loved. Okay. So there's that. So that's what I would do photographically wise, is start like creating projects, whatever that looks like to you. You can do it however you want. But just like have a questionnaire, because the questionnaire is where you collect your data. The photos are just your content that you can use or to get people in the door to answer the questions. That's what I always said. Photography was always my because it's safer than being like, come in, we're going to talk about some deep shit. Nobody likes that. But you're like, come in, I'll give you a free photo shoot. It's just on this topic, so if you're interested. And then they would come in, and then you're like, okay, I have a very long, lengthy questionnaire for you to fill out. But it's very eye-opening, because then it's like doing case studies and like getting evidence to help you understand more about the way that you are, which I think is beneficial. Yeah, so that's where I would start for you, and then figure out for yourself, how will I know when I belong? And that one you're gonna have to sit with, and no matter how uncomfortable it gets you. And it could be like, just like, what's the first step? So it could be like, once a month, I will reach out to somebody. And when your brain says they don't want to hang out with you, you're going to tell your brain to shut the fuck up, because it doesn't know, you don't know that to be true.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what your brain's going to do, because that's what it's always done for the last however many years. It's like, I don't know, nobody likes you, you don't have a connection with people. Lies! You're a liar. But yeah, so figure out like, how can you initiate connection? Okay, so it could be like with one person, like if there's one person you desperately trust. It could be an animal, I don't care, but just like, I'm building connection, this is what connection looks like to me, and then you can recognize what connection doesn't look like for you at the same point. Does that make sense? Did that make sense? Did you get that?
Yes.
Nancy says, what a lovely unfolding, Kourtney. I'm so happy for you, and I appreciate your courage and curiosity to expand. This conversation is inspiring. So the beautiful thing is, this is what I always tell people when they come on for these lives, is like, you're not just helping you, you're also helping unlock this for other people out there that feel the same way, that also felt stuck, but maybe they didn't. See, you know what you did? You connected with me to make this happen.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was scared shitless to do this.
But there's a part of you that knows, like, this is important. Like, again, this is the should versus the must. Oh, I shouldn't do that because maybe she won't say yes or whatever. But then you said, no, I must do this, because the fear of not doing it was way worse than you never figuring it out, right? So whenever you come up against that again, that feeling of like, that's where you're like, this is what I must do to get me through this. Right? That's why I like listening to podcasts before I come on here, because then I have all these like new tools to use. I'm like, that's a good one. But I want to thank you for being so open and like sharing, because again, I always say like people could book a one-on-one with me and like do it in private, but I think when we do it like this, it helps more than just you, which is fantastic.
Yes.
And now you'll be more connected to people than you probably ever thought.
Right. Makes me, I mean, I hate to say that, it makes me feel better that others feel this way, but
No, there's connection, and trauma bonding is a thing.
oh,
Maybe you'll start the first like Lonely Hearts group, like where it's like, maybe that's what you call your Facebook group. Like, I don't know, but just like something like that, like where it's literally about that, where your whole thing, of course you can talk about all the other stuff, but ultimately it always comes back to either belonging with a group of people or belonging to oneself.
yes.
So I need you to start working on that as well.
Okay.
Belonging within yourself. And that means that's a lot of talking back to the voice in your head. She's being a little twat. Tell her to sit down. She did her job to get you this point. All right.
Okay. Yes.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Well, just know I love you and appreciate you for coming on here and doing this. And you're going to do great. And you just keep doing. You're doing it. You're connecting to people.
Keep doing it.
But do it in your way. Anytime you look at other people and you want to be like, oh, but this is what they're doing. Okay, go take a seat. I love that for them, is what we say. And then we say, but does it resonate with belonging? No, okay. Then it has nothing to do with me.
Exactly.
So I encourage you, you know what I want you to do? Actually, this is an art project. Do you like art? Do you like create?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. You're going to get a big ass piece of paper, like a 16 by 20.
Board.
Yes. Okay. Go to the dollar store, get yourself a poster board. And you are going to write in big fucking letters, no matter how you want it to look, that says, I belong.
Okay.
And you are going to put that over top of whatever you spend most of your time. And you will look at it, and even though you don't know you're reading it, you'll be reading it, but that will also be your North Star for everything you do in your business. Okay? And it's an art project, so that's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe you could make that part of your project for the people coming in. Buy a bunch of poster board, get them all to like make signs. Oh, it's a whole thing now. Sorry, I have ideation as a strength, which means I come up with ideas all the time. It's like, But yeah, I'm also strategic. It's about efficiency. It's like, well, if we're going to do this, might as well just get it all done in one shot.
Right. Let's do it all at once.
But I do encourage you, make it big, put it up, because I need you to know that you do. Say it.
I do belong.
No, I belong.
Oh, I belong.
Say it and believe it.
I belong.
And I am connected.
And I am connected.
Yes, you are connected. See, this is me touching you. Boop. You are connected. All right. Okay. Well, I'm gonna let you go now that I made you cry. Thank you so much. If you do want to revisit this and get another ass kicking, it will be on YouTube. Also up in the Facebook group. But really, thank you for your vulnerability today and courage to share your story and and going through the work with me, because that's the hard part. It's like pushing through that part. Sometimes you just need somebody to ask you why. And I appreciate you.
Tough Love Teri.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sugarcoating that. See, expectations are the best thing ever. You know what to expect. All right? Perfect. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, my lady. And I will talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh. Wasn't that good? I could go.
about my day now. That was a good day. That was good. Oh, y'all, when you share parts of yourself with the world, it just makes a big fucking difference for everyone. Oh, I love it. Thank you, Miss Kourtney, for coming on and doing that. Again, if you want to watch this later, it will be in the group up in the media section, as well as on my YouTube channel later today, so you can check that out there if you need to revisit this topic and all that good stuff. I'm so glad this was helpful to a lot of people, and that there were some good things happening today. So if you are interested in having your own coaching session, feel free to head to my website, terryhoffer.com/services, and then click one-on-one coaching. And then from there, if you go to the bottom, let me just make sure it actually says that, because I'm not 100% sure I did put that on the website. Let me, because I built that new website, right? So we're just gonna go make sure before I tell you what the fuck to do. Services, here we go. Okay, one-on-one. Tame the chaos, virtual, hourly. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll show you what it looks like, just so that way you are looking. Look at me. So this is what you're looking for. So you'll scroll down. So there's virtual coaching. It talks about empowering people, blah, blah, blah. You can hire me for coaching. Highly recommend. We do strengths and good stuff like that. But if you want a free coaching, you just have to go live with me and let me share it. Well, not let me, we'll be sharing it in the Everybody's group, as well as on my YouTube channel. So yeah, I'm basically here, talks about all the things I do. So then you click this little button and you can book yourself in, fill out the questionnaire. There's disclaimery things about me not being a therapist and all that good stuff. Oh, do it, girl. I will go easy on you if that's like, well, I won't, but I will. I will, but I won't. But if you like, whatever your problem is, like, it's just a conversation. Wherever it goes, it goes. I honestly, I never intend on making people cry, but chances are if they're coming to me for something and they're afraid they're gonna cry, then they will cry. Does that make sense? Because it's like that point where it's like, I need this cathartic release, to it literally is, it's not crying for sadness, it's crying because of relief. Yes, exactly, Kourtney. Good. Thank you so much for that input. All right. So yeah, if you want that, go check out. It is, oh, you know what? If you go terryhoffer.com/coaching, it'll take you right to the page. Thank you again for everyone listening. If you have any questions, of course, you can ask in the group here. Blogging wise, we touched on a little bit there. There was a few questions about blogging. Let me go back here and answer. There was one I didn't answer, I don't think, maybe. Best content for blogs. Oh yeah, I did say. So content for blogs, don't forget it's in the files section of this group, which you should be able to see. I don't, on the phone, they just change everything so goddamn much. But I believe if you're on your computer, it's up at the top in the bar, but there's files, and let me just go to it here. Let me just show you. There's so much good stuff in there, people. All right, this is what we got. Look at this. We got a lingerie buying guide. We've got blog post topics that aren't client specific. We've got topics for Facebook Lives. We got selfie isolation inspiration. We got the stress grid, resources for body image, inclusivity, best practices for starting a boudoir business. We've got some good files. So that is literally up there. Okay? So if you want help with blogging, that's that. The other thing is, as I mentioned, I like that tits, and then tits are on my wall. As I mentioned, I'm going to be putting together a writer's workshop, so that way people that maybe want to be better at writing but are not 100% certain with it, I will be able to help walk you through to make that a bit easier. All right? Perfect. All right, well, I'm going to go because I have to go drive out to my clients later today because of an album mishap. But that's okay. I'll get it taken care of. And yeah, I hope you all have an amazing day and an awesome everything. Just be cool. Remember, you are not alone. You are loved despite what your brain is telling you. You are valuable just for being here. Okay? you're good. You're good. Okay. Love you lots. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.